everybody, Linda here, the scrapbooking photographer. Welcome to my channel and thanks for stopping by. Today we are taking part in 3 different hops all in one video. The first one is 3 pages, 3 prompts from Ginger's Corner, and that asks for a 2-page layout using purple paper and stitching. Now the stitching can be real or it can be false, either stamped or perhaps drawn on, but I'll be doing real stitching because that ties in really well with the Stitches and Stencils hop, which is a new one for me, run by Janet Fritz, and they ask for real stitching along with using stencils, so that fits in really well with the Stampin' Stencil Savvy hop, which is run by Brianna from My Life on Paper. And the topic this month is to stamp a background. So I'll be stamping and stenciling a background. So we've got a whole heap of things going on here. The photos I'm going to use came to mind when I was thinking purple because of the 3 pages, 3 prompts. And we're going to be documenting the photos from a Relay for Life night walk that I did some years ago, way back in 2008 actually, and we walked throughout the night to raise money for cancer research, and there was all sorts of entertainment throughout the night and some candlelit bags and that kind of thing. So, now the other hop that I'm taking part in today is the 30 Days of Sketches with Christie's Beautiful Life. And this is the sketch that I've chosen to use. It isn't the one technically for today, but it is coming up in the next few days in March. And it just really suited this layout for me. I'm going to stretch it to a double page layout. That's why I have cut these photos down to 2.5 by 2.5, and I'll have 4 on each page. Okay, so this is the basic layout. We've got our 2 strips along the bottom, and the papers I'm going to use are from Stampin' Up, the Perennial Lavender 12 by 12. Now I think this paper pack has been around for quite some time and I absolutely adore it. Just look at those colours and papers, and of course there's plenty of purple in there, but the one I have chosen is this one. Just got enough of a hint of a pattern in it, and so I'm going to use that across the top and down the bottom. So we'll do that. So we've got our inch wide banners at the top in that lavender paper, and we've also got strips down the bottom for our film strip type effect, and that is 3.5 wide. The photos are 2.5 square, so that gives us a little bit of space all the way around them. But now that we kind of know where that is, I can get on with some stenciling and stamping in the background. So I'm going to use my pencil and just mark where we are with that, because we don't need to stamp and stencil under there. There, there, there. And then this is kind of there. And the same on here. So the stencil comes from Stampin' Up, and it's quite a generic sort of shape, so I'm hoping that it will kind of fade into the background a little bit. I'm going to make sure that it's up straight and even so that those designs do sit nicely, and just use the middle of it with the blending brush so that we don't get any of the harsh lines around the outside. Now, as I move it around the page, I'm using the stencil to line up on what I've previously coloured so that the pattern is consistent all the way through. And I'm basically going from left bottom to right top on that page, and I'll just have a wee look, make sure the photos are okay and it looks all right. So then I can go on and do the right hand page, and on the right hand page I'll do it the opposite way so that it goes from top left down to bottom right. So again, just using the middle part of the stencil so that it doesn't get any of those harsh edges, and lining it up using what I've already coloured so that it lines up nicely and the pattern is continuous, so it's like it's one big stencil. And I am leaving some white areas in particular places that I want to do some different things in. I think there's a ribbon stamp which stands for, you know, the cancer side of things, so I'll put that on at a later date. So, oh, there's the stamp. It's called Ribbon Warrior. It's an old Close to My Heart stamp, and it's got all these words on it as well. Now, I've never used it before, so you'll see me here just seasoning it against my forearm. And what I'm going to do is use a big block and put all of those words on in different places. So there's things like hope, faith, friends, endure, and other quite relevant words for struggles with cancer. And I'm sure all of us have somebody either in the past, present, and unfortunately in the future who will go through this struggle. Some get through it and survive, and some don't. And the Relay for Life walk was celebrating both survivors and non-survivors, and it was a year after I'd lost my dad to cancer, so it was quite poignant for me. Since then, of course, there's been more family members that have been through the mill with it, but, you know, that seems to be the way of it. So here you are, just putting the stamp in various places, and I just want the words to come through the background. I don't want them to take over from the story of the weekend. We actually had a blast for the weekend, staying overnight, and you can see the dark in the photos and the longer exposures in the dark that gives that blurry effect to the people. It was just after I had got my first DSLR actually, so I was still learning how to take photos in the dark, and the long exposure photos are basically a mistake, but a happy one. So you'll see here that I have mounted the photos in the darker of the lavender, and I'm just looking at what to do with the title. I wasn't sure whether to do 3 different banners or one long one, but what I did decide was to use this mini alphabet from Stampin Up. So I'll show you a really good way of making it easy, and I'm going to add some sticky to it. You'll see I'm using the solid core cardstock so that I don't get the white core showing through on the edges of the letters. And these double-sided self-adhesive strips are really cool to cut to size and then peel the back off and add them to a piece of paper, or piece of cardstock rather, before you put them through the die cutting machine. So it's quite warm here today, so the glue is a little bit softer than I would like, so I just have to be a little bit careful removing the backing paper. But once I get that adhered to the back of the cardstock, I can put the alphabet on, make sure I get it the right way so that the lavender is the right way up, and then I can take these letters out. Now the beauty of adding the self-adhesive strip isn't just that it makes stickers, it also gives it an extra layer of paper to go through the machine, so there's no half cuts or anything, it just goes through really smoothly. So I'm 1 F short, you'll see, for the title, so I've cut out a little piece of self-adhesive strip to go on the back of a small amount so that I can just cut out the F. I don't need another whole alphabet, so I've just popped it behind the F, and I hope it doesn't move too much as I put it through the machine, and that will give me the last letter for the title. And in the end, whilst I have a look at the 3 different banners on the page, I do go for one long banner that is equal on both pages across the middle. So I'll cut that out in a minute. But while I'm doing that and sticking the photos down and getting organised, I'll just remind you that this is part of 4 different hops, this video. So I do hope you get a chance to see the other creators and what they have done. The link to the playlist will be down below, and there will be loads of inspiration. And some of these hops go all year, and some go for a month, and some go for just today. So have a look and enjoy all that is on offer. So I've got this strip now. I'll cut it in half, measuring it. It's 9 inches, I believe. So I'll cut it at 4.5, and then do a couple of fishtails at each end to make it a banner. and then I will line the letters up. Now it's unfortunate there aren't 4 words, or that I can't evenly split the letters between the 2 banners, but that's just the way it is. So I end up doing a relay and some flowers on the left, and then For Life on the right. But it looks okay by the time it gets put together. And just look how easy it is to get these letters stuck down when they've got that adhesive strip on the back. So good, so good. Much better than glue, better than having bits sticking around the outside and, you know, getting it all over your fingers. And I always get in such a mess when I use glue, so I'm really happy with that discovery. So there we are, there's the 2 pages, and I can put this heading up the top, and I think that works really well. So once that's stuck down, I'll get the big ribbon out of the Ribbon Warrior stamp set, and putting it on a block, I want to do 3 of these across the page. So again, using the royal ink from Close to My Heart, I'll pop one in that white spot on the left. And again, I haven't used this stamp before, so I do need to make sure it's well inked before I place it on the page. And then I've got space on 2 sides on this page. So when we look at the double page spread, there'll be 3 ribbons that we see. So that works well for the balance, I think. So we're just about done, but we do have some stitching to do. So this ruler was given to me by a very good friend of mine, Maria, and I know she watches my videos. So if you're watching, Maria, this is a wonderful gift. Thank you very much. It's a Close to My Heart ruler that has all these holes in it where you can get all sorts of different shapes. Now I'm just using the single circle, the double line of holes, and you can see where they've marked the red lines where you can stitch. So I've gone across the top of this paler purple that goes across the 2 or the strips down the bottom, and I'll have one on the left and one on the right. So to do this stitching, I'm just bringing 2 strands of DMC through, sticking it down with a bit of washi tape at the back to start with, and then going up and down. It's pretty easy if you go from the direction of the hole. It's not the same as stitching on fabric, because on fabric you can kind of feel your way, whereas it's not as easy to do that when you're stitching on cardstock. So I do need to, well, I do anyway, need to see where the hole is so that I can get the needle going through. So I'll go along this and do this little zigzag stitch all the way across. If I run out of cotton on the way, I will just simply tape it down with some washi tape and start again. So the washi tape is great for this, and then when I'm finished putting it all together, I'll tie off the last piece with some washi tape as well, and then put a bigger piece over the back, like a big plaster, if you like. So you can see there, that's what I'm doing, and that just saves the cotton getting snagged on anything when you're putting it in and out of protectors. So there's the 2 pages there. I'm just looking for a little bit of bling, and I have to go right to the back of my bling folder and find some that came from an old sweet pack with Close to My Heart. So it's great to be using up some of these things from Close to My Heart and getting them out of my stash. So they're a nice purple colour, so they go well on this page. So 3 in the middle look good, and then 1 down on the left, and then there's a couple of stars that I'll pop in as well. So that is my page. We have satisfied all the prompts and the requirements with the stamping, the stenciling, the stitching, and the purple background, a double page layout, and that is my page for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, please push subscribe. I would love to have you along on the journey. Happy crafting!